All right, thank you very much for joining me. Today we're going to talk about adding integers. And I just want to make sure that you're aware of a couple of things. First is that there are both positive and negative integers. And positive integers are those whole numbers greater than 0, which makes negative integers whole numbers less than 0. And just a couple examples of positive integers: 4, 27, 312, and there are actually an infinite number of positive integers. They go on and on and on to infinity and beyond. And for every integer that is positive, there is an opposite integer that is negative. And we also have an infinite amount of negative integers. They just get smaller and smaller and smaller. For example, the opposite of the integer positive 4 is negative 4. The opposite of 27 is negative 27. And the opposite of 312 is negative 312. Another thing I want to make sure that we're okay with and understand is absolute value. And absolute value is essentially the distance a number is from 0. And it can never be negative because distance can never be negative. If I drive my car 5 miles north and then turn around and drive 5 miles south, I didn't drive negative miles south. I still drove 5 miles north and 5 miles south. There is no negative distance. So the absolute value of 5 is exactly equal to the absolute value of negative 5. They are both 5 units away from 0, so they are the same. So let's talk about the different situations for adding integers. There are 4 different ones, and the first one you are very familiar with, or at least you should be. A positive plus a positive. So if I take 5 plus 2, I get 7. Well, a negative plus a negative is actually very similar to this. If I have negative 5 plus negative 2, that will give me negative 7. And the way I like to think of this is if I have 5 negatives and I add 2 more negatives, I then have 7 negatives. A positive plus a negative, let's say 5 plus negative 2 is 3, and you might be thinking to yourself, well, 5 minus 2 is 3. And you're absolutely correct. Adding a negative and subtracting are exactly the same thing. And our last scenario is a negative plus a positive. So maybe I have negative 5 plus 2 equals negative 3. And I'm going to give you a couple of tools and show you a couple of different ways of adding your integers. And our first way, and I think it's a very nice, easy visual way, is using a number line. So let's take one of our previous examples. Let's say negative 5 plus negative 2. And we're always going to start at 0. And when we move right, that's the positive direction. So if I move from 0 up to 5, going right, that would be positive 5. And if I move left 5 units, that would be negative 5. So moving to the right is positive, and moving to the left is negative. So in this case, I have negative 5 plus 2. So I'm going to start at 0. I'm going to go negative 5 units. And then from that spot, I'm going to add negative 2, or go negative 2 more units. So I need to go left 2 units. And then I look at where I am. I am at negative 7. So negative 5 plus negative 2 is negative 7. So let's look at another example just like that. If I have negative 1 plus negative 3, I'm going to do largely the same thing. I'm going to start at 0, which I should always start at 0, and then I need to go negative 1 unit. So that means go left 1 unit, and then from there I need to add negative 3. I need to go negative 3 more units. So I'm going to go left 3 more spots and look at where I am. I am now at negative 4, so negative 1 plus negative 3 is equal to negative 4. Let's look at one more just like that. If I have negative 4 plus negative 5, I'm going to start at 0 like I always do. I'm going to go negative 4 units, so I need to go left 4 units. And then from there I need to add -5. So I need to go negative 5 more units. Left 5 units. So I count them out. And I am at -9. So -4 plus -5 is equal to -9. Let's look at something just a little bit different. I'm going to do pretty much exactly the same thing, but I just need to take care of the signs. So now I have a positive 8 plus -5. So I'm going to start at 0 like I always do, but this time I need to go positive 8, so I need to go right 8 units. And then I'm going to add -5, so I need to go -5 units, or left 5 units, and then see where I am. And that puts me at positive 3. So 8 plus -5 is equal to 3. Let's look at another one here. I've got positive 3 plus -4. So I'm going to start at 0, and because it's a positive 3, I need to go right 3 units. And then from there, I'm adding a -4, so I need to go -4 units. That's left 4 units. And then I see where I am. I am now at -1. So 3 plus -4 is equal to -1. Let's look at another one just like that. Well, kind of like that. So now I've flipped them. Now I have a negative plus a positive, and in the last example I have a positive plus a negative. But it's exactly the same thing. I'm going to start at 0, and now I need to go -5 units. So I need to go left first. And I'm at -5. Now I need to add 8. I need to go 8 units in the positive direction, which is right. So from here I'm going to go 8 to the right. And that puts me at positive 3. So -5 plus 8 is positive 3. Let's look at a couple more. So now I've got -2 plus 6. I'm going to start at 0. I need to go left 2 units because it's -2. And then from there I need to add 6. So I need to go right 6 units. And I look at where I'm at. I am at positive 4. So -2 plus 6 is positive 4. We'll look at 2 more here. And by now you should be kind of flying on your own. This should be coming secondhand to you. So I'm going to start at 0. I've got a -9, so I need to go negative, or left, 9 units. And now I need to add 4. So I need to go right 4 units and see where I am. And if I go -9 plus 4, that puts me right at -5. So -9 plus 4 is -5. Let's look at just one more here. If I've got -7 plus 6, I'm going to start at 0 like I always do and go negative, or left, 7 units. And then from there I need to add 6, so I need to go right 6 units. And then we're going to look at where I am, and I am at -1. So -7 plus 6 is -1. And that's an example of using a number line, and I hope that that really helped. And I'm going to show you another way, and that is using manipulatives. And this is a nice, easy way to do this maybe on your homework or in class. You can just use a little plus for a positive and a little minus for a negative. But before we begin, I just want to make sure that you understand that a positive and a negative cancel each other out. So if I have one positive and one negative, it's a net 0 charge. So I can cancel those out. They're essentially 0, and I don't need to worry about them. So let's go ahead and look at our first problem. I've got 6 plus -3, and that's a positive 6, so I'm going to put 6 pluses out. And then now I need to add -3. I need to add 3 negatives. So I'm going to lay out 3 negatives. And remember I said that a positive and a negative cancel each other out. They're a net charge of 0 that we don't need to worry about. And I see 3 pairs of positives and negatives that I can get rid of. So I'm going to cancel those out. And what's left is my answer. I have 3 positives left. So my answer to 6 plus -3 is positive 3. So let's look at another one. I have -9 plus 4. So you see that I begin my problem by putting out 9 negatives, and then now I need to add 4 positives. So I put my 4 positives out, and I see that I have 4 pairs of opposite charges. I have 4 pairs of positives and negatives that I can cancel out, and what's left is my answer. So once I cancel out those, I'm left with 5 negatives. The answer to negative 9 plus 4 is negative 5. And then we're going to look at one more using these manipulative chips. If I have negative 6 plus negative 3, I'm going to start with negative 6. I'm going to put 6 negatives out. And then now my problem tells me to add negative 3, or add 3 more negatives. So I put 3 more negatives out, and I'm looking for matching pairs to cancel out 1 positive and 1 negative, and I see that I have none. So then I look at what's left, and that is my answer. I have 9 negatives out, so negative 6 plus negative 3 is negative 9. And this is something that you could easily do on your homework. If I have negative 7 plus 5, I'm going to lay out 7 different little minuses, or negatives, and then I've got 5 positives, so I'm going to add 5 plus signs, and then I look for what can I cross out. Do I have any matching pairs of positives and negatives? In this case, I have 5 of them that I can cancel out. And what's left is my answer. I have 2 negatives, so my answer is negative 2. And I'm going to start this one off. I'm just going to draw out the pluses and minuses, and let's see if you can figure out what the actual problem is. If you said negative 4 plus 8, you were absolutely correct. We should be able to visualize that. And now I see that I have 4 matching, or 4 sets of positives and negatives that I can get rid of. And what's left is my answer. I have 4 positives, so negative 4 plus 8 is positive 4. I've got 5 plus negative 3. I'm going to lay out 5 pluses and 3 minuses. And I look at my matches that I can cancel out. I have 3 sets, and what's left is my answer. I have 2 positives, so my answer is positive 2. And this method works really well when your problems are fairly small, but there comes a time when maybe we don't want to write out all those pluses and minuses. Maybe it's just going to be a little bit too cumbersome, too big. So here I have negative 14 plus 9, and this is still kind of manageable. I'm going to put out 14 negatives, but you could imagine if it was negative 75 plus, oh, I don't know, 62, we wouldn't want to do that, but in this case it's still manageable. I look at my pairs that I can cross out. I've got quite a few of them, and then I look at what's left, and I have negatives. How many? I have 5 of them, so negative 14 plus 9 is negative 5. But you should be seeing by now that, yeah, maybe I don't want to lean on this method for the rest of my life, as you shouldn't. So let me give you a couple of handy sayings. The first one is same sign sum. So if the integers to be added have the same sign, you can just add them up and keep the sign. So, for example, if I have 5 plus 7, that equals 12. So I have 2 positives, they have the same sign, 5 plus 7 is 12, and I'm going to keep that positive sign and keep it positive 12. Now if I have negative 5 plus negative 7, that's negative 12. So because they have the same sign, I'm simply going to add them. 5 plus 7 is 12, and then keep the sign that they are. So those are both negative numbers, so my answer is going to be negative as well. Here's just another example. 3 plus 4 is 7, all positive. Negative 3 plus negative 4 is negative 7. So they are all negative. And the other phrase is different signs difference. So if the integers to be added have different signs, you need to find the difference, or how many numbers are between them, or subtract them, and you're going to keep the sign of the larger number in terms of absolute value. So if I have 5 plus negative 7, I'm going to find the difference between 5 and 7. So there are 2 numbers between 5 and 7, so the difference is 2. And looking at the numbers, 7 is bigger than 5, so it will have a larger absolute value. I'm going to keep that negative. So 5 plus negative 7 is negative 2 because 7 is bigger than 5. I'm going to keep that negative. If I have negative 5 plus 7, well, the difference is still 2, but because it's a negative 5 and a positive 7, 7 is larger than 5, so I'm going to keep the positive sign. Here's another example. 3 plus negative 4 equals negative 1. The difference between 3 and 4 is 1. There is one number between 3 and 4. And I'm going to keep the sign from the from the 4, because even though it's negative, 4 has a larger absolute value than 3. So I'm going to be left with a negative 1. And the last one, negative 3 plus 4 is positive 1. I find the difference between 3 and 4, that's 1, and 4 is bigger than 3, so I'm going to keep the positive sign from there. I hope that this has really helped you with adding integers, and until next time, study hard and keep practicing.